Today's video is all about goals. We hear a lot about goals in this space of personal and professional development. And I wanted to just take it apart a little bit and give you some hope that you could really use goals to transform your life. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Simon Phillips, and I just wanted to talk to you today about goals because they have really transformed my life, and for many of the people that we've helped over the years, whether they be inside a business, heading up an organization, or just one-to-one personal coaching clients, the fact that they've set some goals and captured them in a way that invigorated them, made them feel like this is something worth pursuing, has truly transformed their lives. But I wanted to start with my favorite definition of a goal, which is a goal is a dream with a date on it. Sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? But let me ask you, what is the, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the thing that connects this juggling ball with the camera that I'm using to talk to you on today? What's the connection between those two things? The reality is both started as an idea in someone's head. They were a dream. Someone thought, wouldn't it be fantastic to have a juggling ball that just, was stable, but also malleable and light and flexible, but still weighty enough that it will help me do the juggling. And wouldn't it be amazing if we could attach a camera to a computer so people could record themselves or record other activities, maybe have phone calls through the computer. So these were just dreams in someone's head at some stage. And what they did was take those dreams, extract them, and say, I wonder if this is possible. There's something about a goal that almost has to start in this space of a lack of reality almost. We almost got to not believe that it's possible. In fact, they're the best goals, the ones that really make you stretch, the ones that initially take your breath away because you're not quite sure how you're going to make it happen. And that's why they actually start as dreams. Quite often in our workshops, when we're getting people to really think outside the box and to start to come up with amazing, innovative and creative ideas for their own lives, we start with that context of, well, let's dream a little bit. Let's see what's possible, because we don't know until we've done that. So we start with this dream. And because it's a dream, it's based in that space of it's unreal. So what can we possibly do with that? And that's when we turn it into a goal by applying a date. Now, the whole point about this is you're not going to feel comfortable putting a date on it initially. When you sit down with that goal, that idea, sorry, not that goal, but that dream, that idea of yours, it might be something like, I'd love to play professional sport within a team. I'd love to get to university. I'd love to have this specific job. I'd love to work with those people. And all of those things right now are out of your reach. But if we don't ever write them down, if we don't ever capture them, even our dreams, they're very, very unlikely to happen. By just writing them down, we've taken that first step, because by seeing them on a piece of paper, it changes our relationship with them. They're all of a sudden something that is accessible because I can see it on a piece of paper. I make it even more powerful then by applying a date. And if you can't imagine it happening anytime soon, that's fine. Quite often when we're working with our clients, their dreams are something that they think, even with the following wind and all the best conditions, this is still going to take 5 years to happen. But do you see what's happened in their heads? It's switched from being something that's just a dream and no idea how it can happen to something that now is all of a sudden on a piece of paper with a date on it. and it's really achievable all of a sudden. And that's what this is all about. So we put a date on it, and now we can start to break it down. And I think to get to that point, we have to suspend reality. And whatever your belief systems are, we have to almost invite a little bit of magic into our lives. We have to say to the universe, to whoever our God is, or maybe it's commitments to the people around us, and we verbalize them. But we have to have that almost suspended reality for a moment for us to say and commit to a date. But in doing that, strange things start to happen. I often talk about the very first time I did this exercise, and I had a really long list. And I came back to it, having not done anything with the list for about 5 years. I rediscovered it when I was moving house, and there it was, a whole list of things. And I think roughly about 9 out of 10 of them I'd achieved. So there is some magic involved in this process, but you don't have to take my word for it. You can do it for yourself. What's the idea or the dream that you have in your head at the moment? What's the one that takes your breath away? What's the idea that you've been carrying around for a few years, and actually now might be the perfect time to set it down and start to break it down in terms of a goal? Get that out there, get it on a piece of paper, and then let's start working on it. So there's a great quote about this process, which is, if you've got your dream set and you've broken it down and you can imagine what's the first thing that you can do as a contribution towards that goal, that's when this great quote comes in, because it says starting is 80% done. You see, most people don't get started. It's really amusing, isn't it, at New Year's, hearing people's resolutions. I'm going to get fit just as soon as the gym's open, which of course they're not really doing much at the moment. Or I'm going to stop drinking just as soon as I finished all that alcohol that we bought over Christmas. People just don't get started, or they get started in a way that they can't actually commit to, that isn't created in a way in which they could form a habit around it. They get started almost half-heartedly. I'd like to. If in your head, as you're writing something down, there's a notion in your head of, I'd like to, just hear yourself saying it and ask yourself, what's my real commitment to this? If you can switch that instead to, wow, I didn't expect to be able to break that down and have something that even looks achievable. And then your levels of commitment are going to go up, and the first step you take will just consolidate that belief. So you want to be getting to a place with your goals where there's a different feeling inside your body as you consider it. It's not some ethereal dreamlike thing anymore. It's something tangible. It's on paper, and you're taking the first steps to make it happen. That's how all goals are achieved. But I want to finish today with the thought of, what about the goals that we don't achieve? What happens to those things that we'd like to do, and we've turned them into a goal, and we've started, we've made some progress, but we don't achieve the goal? Well, do you know what? It really doesn't matter. And for two reasons. The first reason is we're going to learn something along the way. When we set out to try and achieve a goal, it's something we haven't done before. It's something where we might be able to apply some of the knowledge and experience and skills that we have from other activities that we've done. But actually getting it done is going to require new thought, new action, and a new determination to do things in a different way. And as a result, we can't always guarantee the results. So the possibility of failing to achieve a certain goal is, actually quite high. But it's the two things that are important It's what we learn in the process, so that next time we set a goal, we might be able to build in a little bit more experience and a little bit more insight, so that the next goal becomes, in terms of probability, higher. And the second thing is, and this is even more important, it's who we become when we set goals and we set out to achieve them. Think about all the great explorers. Think about all the great philanthropists. Think about all the great people in your life. What have they done along the way that maybe wasn't about achievement, that maybe wasn't about the successful completion of every little step along the way? It was more about their character. It was more about the person they were becoming in the process. The person who achieved some things actually had the courage to put some things down on paper and start. The next time they come to think about something that might be achievable, that's banked, isn't it? That's in their head already. Do you know what? I'm the type of person who does write things down. I'm the type of person who does make a start. I'm the type of person who proceeds with some faith that this is possible. Nothing in our lives would have been achieved unless people before us had written something down and started. And they probably failed a hell of a lot of times along the way. The famous story of Edison and his thousands of attempts to produce the electric light bulb. That's just an example of the type of attitude we're going to create, the type of character we're going to become, someone who isn't put off by the slightest problem, somebody who is determined to proceed almost no matter what, because we've got a vision of how things can be. And that's the great thing about thinking about this as something that starts with dreams, because dreams are in our head. They're a vision that we have. So if you're wondering if you've got that passion to achieve something that you think you would like to do, pause, tap into your dream-like state and think, and ask yourself, I wonder what. That what if question is so important. What if this was possible? That's enough reason to write it down on paper, to create a goal out of it by putting a date on it, breaking it down and making those first steps. Who you will become by being someone who sets goals and starts working on them, reviews and assesses and works out what the next steps are, a problem solver to get that goal achieved. Who you will become in that process is far more important than the achievement of the goal itself. I hope that helps. I'll be back next time to talk to you more about personal effectiveness, about networking, and about how to make change happen. Take care. I'll see you soon.